The 3 C's to closing: contracts, compliance, and commissions. You've got a binding contract. Now what do? Is Keller Williams North Atlanta holding the earnest money? If the answer is yes, collect it from the buyer and submit to the MCA as soon as possible for deposit within the time frame stated in the contract. This is whatever has been put in as earnest money will be received within blank number of days. Use the green deposit now envelopes in the workroom to submit. Fill out at least your name, the buyer's name, and the property address. If you don't remember the binding agreement date, that's fine. If you can't remember the seller's name, that's also fine. As long as we have your name, the buyer's name, and the amount and property address, we are good to go. Just submit the envelopes into the metal box in the workroom, or if it's during business hours, you are perfectly fine dropping it off in the MCA's office. Earnest money must be deposited according to the contract. You may not hold it until after due diligence unless there is a stipulation in the contract stating that. Be sure to make a copy of the earnest money to upload to your opportunity and to share with the listing agent before you submit. What do I need to submit in the opportunity for compliance review? All documentation related to the contract should be submitted in the opportunity to review. This includes, but is not limited to, any brokerage agreements, the KWNA marketing disclosure, the contract, including all exhibits and counteroffers if there are any amendments that have been created so far, and going through the contract, if any amendments are made, you will upload them as needed. A copy of the earnest money, the commission agreement, otherwise known as the instructions to closing attorney, and if there are any referral agreements that need to be paid out from your commission on this opportunity, be sure that the referral agreement as well as the W-9 for the referral agent's broker is also loaded into the opportunity. Compliance commission tabs. When will my opportunity be reviewed? The beginning of the opportunity review is not when you hit submit to MC. It is actually when you create the commission tab and submit that to the market center. Commission tabs are the new green sheets. They need to be submitted within 48 hours of binding agreement date or as close to that date as possible. Submitting a commission tab begins the compliance review process. This is how compliance will know to go look at your opportunity and review the documents. Once one commission tab is needed per side of the transaction. If both sides are in Keller Williams North Atlanta, then 2 separate opportunities and commission tabs will be needed. This is different than how it was done in the old system. We no longer use one opportunity or green sheet for each property. If you are on the buyer side, you will create a buyer side. If you are on the seller side, you will create a seller side opportunity. Once a commission tab has been accepted and imported, any changes needed can be emailed to amca181@gmail.com and we will be able to make them on our side. If the opportunity still shows as open, submitted, or accepted, email amca181@gmail.com and we will return it to you if any edits are needed before it is imported. Compliance. What do I do now that I've submitted my commission tab? Once the commission tab has been submitted, the AMC will alert compliance to review your opportunity. Compliance will typically review the opportunity within 48 hours of it being submitted, but they do review based on closing date. So if you have a farther out closing date, it might take slightly longer than 48 hours. Compliance will review all documents in the opportunity. They are confirming that all documents are in compliance with GREC rules. They will either mark them approved or return them if changes are needed. Compliance will add any notes on items needed to your opportunity or that are missing, and will let you know what is needed to bring your opportunity into compliance, if anything. If your opportunity is in compliance, it will be marked approved. You are set until closing. If items are needed, it will be marked returned. Don't worry, you will have time to correct the compliance issues before closing. This is why we usually ask for compliance to be done early in the process rather than at closing or after closing. Compliance. My opportunity was returned. Now what do I do? If your opportunity is marked returned, don't panic. If you have questions about what compliance is needing, please feel free to reach out to the AMCA or the MCA and we will clarify any questions. Open the comments for the opportunity, and by any document that has been returned, there should be a little notes tab. Click on that. It will tell you what is needed and why the document was returned. Once all corrections have been made or amendments signed, submit the opportunity for review again by clicking on the Resubmit button at the top right of your screen in Command. Once your opportunity is in compliance and approved, you are ready for closing. Now you're ready for closing. How do you get paid? You have the option of doing what is called a regular closing versus a pay at close. A regular closing is when one check is issued at closing to Keller Williams North Atlanta for the amount of your commission. If we are holding the earnest money, this check will be for the amount of your total commission minus the amount of the earnest money we are holding. You will then bring this one check to the office and we will process your check here. Commission checks are typically ready within 1 business day of arriving in the office. We will notify you when they are ready. If you plan on doing a regular closing, you do not need to submit a pay at close to the office, nor do you need to take earnest money to the closing. The one instance this is not the case is if the earnest money we are holding is more than the gross commission you are receiving. If your gross commission is $5,000 and we are holding $7,000 in earnest money, we will need to know ahead of the closing that we will need to issue this to the closing attorney for the closing. Pay at closes. If you would like to get your individual commission check at the closing table without waiting for us to process your closing, you will need to submit a pay at close request form to amca181@gmail.com no later than 5 to 7 business days before closing. Your opportunity must be compliant for a pay at close to be approved. If your request is approved, we will issue what is called a disbursement authorization form, otherwise known as a DA, that you will need to give to the closing attorney. This itemizes all checks that need to be cut from the closing attorney for the commission received. If we are holding earnest money, we will issue a check for that amount to the closing attorney that will need to be picked up and taken to the closing. We are unable to wire funds to the closing attorneys at this time. If you need the earnest money check mailed to the closing attorney, please allow for at least 2 weeks at this time, with U.S. Postal Service being behind in service. The Pay at Close request form looks like the document on the screen and can be found in the DocuSign forms under KW181 forms. It is the first document in that subsection of forms. Fill that out. If we are holding earnest money, please be sure to fill out the attorney firm name and make sure it is the most recent attorney firm name, just in case it has changed during the course of the transaction, and submit to the AMCA 5 to 7 business days prior to closing. Now there are some rules with the pay at close. The DA must be followed exactly. We must have a check for each line on the DA. Do not let the closing attorneys combine any checks, even if they are made out to the same recipient. You will sometimes see multiple checks made out to Keller Williams North Atlanta. These are for your cap splits as well as FMLS fees. They are processed separately, and we need to make sure that the checks are cut separately. If there are any changes to sales price or the commission amount, you must let us know immediately so that we can issue a new DA. It takes 5 minutes to make a change to the DA, so even if you are at the closing table, please give us a call and let us know you need that updated. Do not use a DA if the sales price or commission amount does not match what is on the settlement statement. All settlement statements and Keller Williams checks are due to the office within 24 hours of closing. This is especially important at the end of the month when we are trying to close out our books and want to get your production counted for the month. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to either the AMCA at amca181@gmail.com or MCA at KLRW181@kw.com, and we are happy to answer any questions.